and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be editing this photo, which is a backlit photo. I'm going to show you all my steps, first in Lightroom and then how I edit it in Photoshop. Okay, let's get started. So of course, first things first, I upload my pictures into Lightroom and then I'll do some minor adjustments here and then go ahead in Photoshop and do more of the bigger edits. First thing I do in Lightroom is I go down and make sure that I have both of these check marked, enable profile corrections, and remove chromatic aberration. I always like to do that first so it corrects my camera. And then I usually go from the top bottom. First thing I do is I usually will change my picture to a 5:7 because usually that's what people use most of the time when they post online. It's sufficient enough, so most of my pictures I convert to a 5:7. And then I have to decide where I would like this picture to be. I think I like her kind of in the corner instead of straight on in the middle. So I think I'm going to do it just like this so she's a little canted to the side and you get some of the greenery. Let me just see if I want the background in that one better. I think I like the background of the greenery better. We'll hit done. Again, if I go from the top bottom, so right now it's on Adobe Color, which is right here. You can go ahead and hit browse if you want to switch it and decide if you do want to change to a different setting. So you can kind of go and see which ones you like better. You can see what you like. As of now, I think I really do like the one that it's set at. So I'm just going to hit close. So I'm on Adobe Color. And then I go ahead and I do some minor adjustments here. Exposure, I don't want to exposed, but when I keep doing that, I kind of lose her. So I think I might do that more in Photoshop with some curve layers. Highlights, I'm going to bring that down so it makes the background less blown out. Whites, again, play with them, see what you like better. I may bring them down a little bit to bring the sky out, and then I can go ahead and fix that with curves in Lightroom. Blacks, I'll bring it to plus. I'm going to do like -4 just to darken up the blacks in there. In clarity, I'll bump up a little bit. Again, everything's to your preference. This is kind of what I do. I do a little bit and then look and see what I like. Saturation, you can decide what you like. So I probably am going to bump it up just a couple points just to make it a little bit more saturated and vibrant. Same thing, you can go ahead and look. So I'll probably bring that to like +2 just to give it a little bit of a change. I usually skip the tone curve. On here, I usually will bump up the red a little bit. Just get the colors of the lips so you can kind of see that, the colors there. Orange, I usually bump down a couple points just so her skin tone, it usually affects that. Yellow, I don't want to go crazy because when I do that, look how yellow her hair looks. That's obviously not natural. I think I like her hair color better down here, but let me see if I change even the... I actually like this down a little bit too, where it makes the green a little yellow and then her hair is less bright, and then you can always play with luminance. I like her hair a little bit brighter, so I'm just going to put it +6. And again, I can always change things after. Green, I tend to like the hue of my greens to be, especially since I'm doing this more for a fall look, I want it to look more fall-y. So I'll make this a little bit more yellow. So I'll bring my hue down. And then again, you can always play with your saturation here. You'll probably bump it up to 12. Blues, there's not many blues here, so let's see if that will actually affect anything. It does a little bit in the background, but to be honest, I think I'm going to drag it down. Because I noticed earlier her lips were a little bit blue, but I don't see it affecting it with the aqua. And then let's just make sure. I'm going to actually bring the saturation down in the blues as well. But I want to make sure it's not affecting her eyes. I don't want to lose the color in her eyes, so actually I may keep that up a little bit. And then the purples, see if it affects her dress or not. No, it just affects her face, which is weird. So we're going to probably desaturate a little bit so it doesn't affect the weird colors that she's getting here, the shading. So let's just lower it down a little bit and then see if this affects her dress either. No, same spot where the sun's hitting her. Kind of making that weird color. So again, I'm going to make it -13. I usually don't touch this. Detail I don't really touch very much. And all that other stuff I don't really touch. So that's kind of where I start in Lightroom. And then as soon as I'm happy with what I've done, again, you can do before and after. I absolutely love the yellow tones in the leaves. This photo, and I'm going to edit in Photoshop. Now it's time for a little coffee break. Delish. I just found this awesome coffee mate. It's sugar-free peppermint mocha. It's so delicious. Have it every day, every morning, at least when it's in season. And now I just have to wait for forever for Photoshop to come up. I'm telling you, sometimes my computer is so slow. I think what it really is telling me is that I need to get an external hard drive and transfer all the photos that I have on my desktop on that so it's not taking up so much space. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to minimize my Lightroom so it's not distracting, and I'm going to make this a little bigger and move these guys over so it's not so much in the way. First things first, I always do skin retouching. Liane, my model here, has amazing skin, so there's not going to be much for me to do. But when I do skin retouching, I'm going to hit Command J to make a new layer, and then we're going to go ahead and go through the photo and remove any imperfections that I may see that I want to remove. So I'm just going to zoom in, get nice and close. I'm going to quickly, just because it's going to bother me, these little specks on here, I'm just going to remove to make sure that the actual hat is nice and solid black color. And of course, when my computer is acting slow, it likes to take a moment to do what I ask. So I'm going to go through. I don't go crazy, but just so the little bigger ones aren't so distracting. I'm going to go through with my patch tool. I like to do patch tool on basically everything. So that I'm going to do there. The hair in her eye, I don't know if I'm going to be able to remove that. I will try with my patch tool and see if I can do it, and then I'll decide if I think it looks okay. So just little pieces, go through and move it, and even with the eye, you can go ahead and just move it down slowly. And here it's going to be a little bit harder. Let's see if I can do it if I move it up a smidge and try to align with her natural line. Let me see. If I zoom out, actually, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to get rid of that one little black spot that it seemed to have made right there, though. See if I can, there it goes. So now it doesn't look so aggressive. Perfect. And then again, zoom in on her skin. Again, very amazing skin. There's not going to be much for me to even do. Just minor things. Liane is such an amazing model. She did so amazing on this shoot. I was so happy to work with her. Always a pleasure, and I hope to work with her again soon. We discussed already doing a fall shoot again, so I'm super excited for that. Now, stuff for like this, like you don't want to go crazy and get rid of lines, fine lines from just smiling. I tend to just fade them out a little bit. So if you hit Command Shift F, you can fade it out and then kind of put them back in so they're lightly there, but not so aggressive. Same thing here. Shift Command F for fade. Go ahead and get rid of it, but still there. And same thing here. I'm going to go down and fade it a little bit just so it's a little more blended in. And then I think what I will do next is I do notice some redness here. Let me see if I can get rid of it with my patch tool. I make no promises. Let me see. Oh, it's so much better though. Okay, perfect. Yeah, patch tool it is. I love the patch tool. The patch tool and I are best friends. And again, I think I'm just gonna get rid of this one little scratch. I'm gonna keep that in there. Just so it gives it the picture a little bit more, something to look at. I think it's aesthetically pleasing. If I can say it aesthetically. Oh, you'll learn my verbiage. Sometimes the words I say don't make any sense, or I'm close to pronouncing it. So for now, I think that I'm happy with those little cleanups there. I think the biggest thing is just the little redness that was there. And for me, I like to merge down my layers. I like this to be nice and clean. So when I'm happy and I know I'm not going to change it, I just get rid of it. The next thing I'm going to do is make a new layer, Command J. And I'm going to make sure her skin is the same tone everywhere. So all I do is I take the sample tool and then I go ahead and I paint on her skin so everything is the same color. I'll bring that flow to 100 so I can definitely see it. Again, it's going to look funky. It's going to look crazy. But later, once I cover all of her skin, I'm going to just bring down the opacity really low. So it's just slightly making it so that the skin color is all the same. So like here, I think just a little bit aggressive there. And again, I may leave the cheeks out though, so we can still keep that little bit of pink that was there. Under her eyes, again, don't go over her makeup. You don't go over the makeup or the eyes or the lips, just the skin. Make my little paintbrush a little bit smaller to get into there and get into the nose. And this helps just so that all the skin is an even tone, which is very helpful, and even might get rid of some of that little bit of redness that's there. It's so much better than it was. And again, you don't have to go crazy with this because you're going to make it so low that it's going to be very, very minimal. So as you can see how much different her skin tone is down here. If it's too crazy, I may go back and delete it, but we shall see because this is actually very different than what's on her face. Again, you could go on the fingers. I'm just doing this to show you guys a quick edit of how I do this so you can get an idea. Now I'm going to zoom out. Oh, doesn't that look so pretty? It's like Picasso. Now I'm going to lower the opacity really low just so that she gets a little bit more even skin tone, and then you can go back and hit before and after and see what you get. So you can see that it gets rid of some of the dark areas. So again, very minimal, but I like it because now everything's more even, and to me, it just makes the skin look very clean and crisp. And when I'm happy, I merge down my layers. Now I do want to make her lips pop up a little bit. I think I want to give her lips a little bit of a red color to give it just a different color so her skin tone doesn't match so much with her lips. So make Command J, and I think actually what I'll do is I may sample a little bit of her flower here, maybe this maroon color, and see if I like that on her lips or not. So let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and take my paintbrush. Again, I'm going to keep it at 100 so I can see what I'm doing, and then go ahead and paint. Come on, Photoshop. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to like this color. We shall see. It looked pretty on her dress. Don't want it to look too crazy. I think what I always end up doing is I end up going with the pink. But let's just for giggles see what we get. Trying to decide which color I like better. No, I think I like it better with pink lips. Okay, if you don't like it, you can always go to that layer and you can delete the layer. Okay, yes. So let's go back, Command J, and let's get, so I like the outside color of her lip because it's a little bit darker. Let's go ahead and sample that, and I'm going to go back again, paint over her lips so that her lips are all the same color, because for some reason there's a little bit of blue tint in there, and I don't want that. To me, it's very distracting. Go ahead, paint that color on there. Perfect. Okay, then zoom out so you can see from afar and go ahead and lower that opacity. So let's see. I like that much better. You can't see that blue anymore. It kind of matches with the theme. It's still not too bright. I am happy with that. So I'm going to merge down. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use liquify over here. So filter liquify. And this I'll use to adjust sometimes like the shapes of things, like if the shoulder's too high or if a piece of hair is out of the way or anything like that. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll clean up the lips too. So if there's any lip gloss or lip color that's kind of out of the way, I'll kind of push it in very slowly. Then make sure it still follows her shape. Like you don't want to like change the shape of her lips or anything like that. Again, everything you do is just to enhance the model in your image. We're not trying to make anything look different. You want your model to look like your model. But what happens is during the photo shoot, the lipstick will change. We may reapply, so sometimes it gets a little messed up. And then when you do that, you can zoom out and then hit preview to make sure you're happy with what you did. So I cleaned up that little spot there, but I'm gonna go in, and it looks like I made this too small compared to where it was. And I don't want to change the shape of her lips. Okay, much better. Just one little spot I want to fix. Perfect. I'm happy with that. And I may actually see if I want to change the shape of her hat. So I'm going to make my brush bigger, and let me see if I like it better round. But when you're doing this, make sure you're pulling in the same direction. Like, you don't want to change up the lines there. The tree's okay because it's blurry back there. But you do got to be aware of any lines. Actually, I don't know if I... Okay, do I like it round or do I like it with that odd shape? Decisions, decisions. Okay, there, I think I'm happy. Nothing needs to change. Everything's where it needs to be. So when I'm happy, you can get preview, just to see what you did. Just slightly just alter the shape of the hat, and you can hit OK. Now I'm going to start doing my curve layers. So you're going to go right over here, and you're going to do curves. Now I do want to brighten her skin, and then I do want to darken the background. So what you'll do is bring that up and brighten everything up, and then you're going to make sure this is selected and hit Command I to invert the mask, and then make sure you're on your paintbrush, and then you're going to paint on where you want to brighten everything. So I'm just going to brighten her whole face and her body, and again, I like she has such beautiful porcelain skin. I want to make sure that it reflects. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you hit before and after and decide if it's too much, too little. So for now, I'll just leave it, and then I'm going to make a second curves layer and make this my dark color. Now I'm going to get a Command, invert it, so you can go ahead and paint your color back on, paint the darkness on, and I like to paint all the background dark and make sure that the model in the middle is, it's almost like a vignette. Well, that is a vignette, just you're creating it. And then what I am probably going to do is probably make her hat black, a little bit darker so it's a little bit blacker. And then I probably want to go and make sure her outfit is darker, just because I think that'll make the outfit look a little bit nicer. So let's see. Now this is just doing it globally just to kind of get all the colors in. So let me see what we get. Okay, perfect. Okay, I like that so much better darker, but I think she's a little bright. So I'm going to lower this down a smidge. Do a little bit more. Let's bring it down to, I don't know, let's say 39%. I think that I'm happy with that. And then here, I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to do is merge all my layers again. Merge layers. Again, I like you always clean. And now I'm going to go ahead and do another curves. Well, two curves layer, another bright, Command I, invert that, and then another dark curves. And I'm going to do some more dodging and burning. So let's do the bright first. So for this, you're going to want to make bright where it should be bright. So I'm going to brighten her eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure her eyes are bright. And then I tend to go around the eye itself. I know this is really aggressive. It's just so I can see. And then I'm going to go a little bit on the bridge of her nose. A little bit over that darkness that she used to contour. So a little bit over the nose, a little bit over the lip where the sun would have hit, and over her lip. Okay, and everywhere where you want it to be light, go ahead over that with your light curves, your brighten curves. I always laugh when I do this because I always think it looks so funny when you're doing it, and then a little bit under the brow. And again, I go over spots that look like it would be brighter, which would be right here, I see. Her hand right here, on this side. See that? I apologize for all that noise. My husband's upstairs doing something in the kitchen, making a ruckus. Okay, perfect. I think that's the winner. I think I should just leave it just like that. Okay, I'm gonna go back and lower my opacity. Again, you don't want anything to be too aggressive. So for now, that gives me the pop that I want, the little pop under the eye. And you would say before and after. Just that little bit just makes that I feel like the image pop. And now with the darker curves, this time I'm gonna lower it down just so I can see. Now I tend to darken up the eyebrows. Oh, of course, now Chloe's barking. Getting a little bit of everything today. And then I'm gonna go in with a flow that's even less and go in and kind of darken other spots that there would naturally be shadows. Naturally there's shadows there, there's a shadow here. And then I like to go over the cheekbones. I'm gonna lower that opacity even more. So cheekbone right here, where she would have a natural contour. And let me see. I like to go around the forehead where you would get natural contour. Sometimes underneath the cheek right here. Perfect. Great. Let me see how we did. And if you want to see both of them combined, you can command, hit them both, right click, and hit group. You can name it if you want. Then you see everything that you've done. And then if it's too much, you can always go back and lower it, which I may do a little bit. Perfect. I think that makes me really happy. You can see all the contours of her body, still see the contour of her cheeks, her eyebrows, her eyes. The only thing I may do, I may go in and brighten her eyes a little bit more, but we'll do that last. So now that I'm happy, again, you know me, I like to go ahead and merge my groups. Oops, I don't know what that just did. Command Z, not sure what I did. Merge groups. Perfect. Now we're going to do selective color. This is where I think a lot of the image changes. So you can start from wherever. We'll start with the red, and I just go back and forth and see what I like. So I like this to be a little bit darker because her lips look a little bit darker. You can just go back and forth. I think this gives her skin tone a little bit better color if I bump that up. Definitely not to the yellow, and that is too excessive, so we'll make that 0. I actually like this a little bit lower, so we're going to move the cyan to -5. And again, you can always see what you're doing. Minor things, but just you can just see in the skin tone a little bit. Let's go to the yellows. Same thing, go back and forth and see what you like. I think I'm going to bump it up a smidge on the black. And this kind of gives it more of a golden tone. I think let me see what it looks like. Just going to blow it down just a smidgen. Let's do that. Let's do that with the magenta. I actually kind of like that magenta look, so let's go ahead. Let me see again. We'll keep it there with the magenta, and then cyan again. Go ahead and play. And I'm actually going to do -2 because it's making the background look so pretty. Greens, again, we can play with the greens. This basically looks like it doesn't do much but the back, so I'm just leave it at 0. If it doesn't look like it does anything, I just leave it. And that doesn't look like it does anything. You change the background a little bit, which I may bump that up a little bit. Again, I apologize for all the noise. It sounds like Brendan's now doing the dishes. Cyan, we can look to see if it affects her eyes. She does have beautiful blue eyes. Doesn't really look like it's doing much. And if it doesn't do anything, hit 0. No. Let's see if the blue affects it. Yeah, I'm gonna lower it because she had beautiful baby blue eyes. So let's do that. That looks more like what her eyes looked like. Again, it's all to what you see and what you want your image to look like. And just make sure I didn't affect too much of the background. And I don't, actually, I made the background look even nicer. Okay, magenta, I'm not going to worry about. Whites, you can go ahead and play with them. I'm going to leave them up a little bit so the sky still stays blue. This is a toughie because I kind of do like it a little bit yellow, but then it makes the sky look. So I'm going to do -2. And then bring that down to a little bit less. I'm going to leave that at 0. Okay, go back and see. Neutrals I don't really touch, but you can see what neutrals do. Just to get an idea. Kind of is almost the whole image. That's pretty cool looking, I'll say. Again, I'm going to bring all these to 0. I don't really play too much with the neutrals. And then blacks. If you want it really soft, you can go ahead and do that. But I tend to make mine a little bit sharper, so I do +2. Or I do +1 on the yellow. Magenta. I'm gonna leave that at 0. If you do like, do -1, just so it's not too aggressive. Okay, -1. Perfect. So let's go ahead and see that. Just that little bit of color, I absolutely love it. It gives it the picture a different feel. And again, when I'm happy, merge down. I do want to go ahead and fix her eyes again. So with the curves, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the brightness again, invert that to get the mask, and go in and see if I can brighten her eyes a little bit more. I'll leave the flow at whatever, 43%, just so I can see something. In the worst case scenario, I can always go back and change the opacity. And I tend to always love the pop in the lip too, so let's go ahead. I can really see that pops on her, and then she actually has a little spot here. The sun's hitting her just perfectly. Perfect. So let me just go again, lower that down so it's not too aggressive and fake. Lower down a smidge more. There we go. I think that's where I'm happy at. Merge down. I also do I think it's crazy. I do a million curves layers. I'll do an S curve here. I think that gives it an extra pop, so you can go ahead and see that little difference really brings out the colors. I'll merge that down. And at this point, I think I'm pretty happy with the image. The only thing I'll probably do is maybe sharpen her eyes a smidge. So again, you can make Command J just to be on the safe side, so if you're not happy, sharpen one little each. Let me see what I get. And then you can always go back and hit before and after and see what you think. Yeah, I like how it just gives that extra pop, so I'm gonna leave it there. And then my final step, I know this is kind of long-winded. I think actually, you know what? I do want to fix one thing now that I'm looking at it. This little spot here. So I'm gonna take my sample tool, take that, and then lightly paint. So I'm gonna only do like 1% or 2%, and just lightly paint this. See if I can get rid of some of this color. It's very distracting to me. Okay, let me see if I zoom out. Yeah, and then do a little bit on this one, little dark spot. Oh, much better. Yeah, I feel like I was staring at that dark spot. Perfect. Okay, then once I'm there, my last and final step is I'll go to the sharpen filter, smart sharpen. I'll hit OK. Again, my setting's at 152. I actually love the smart sharpen. I'm really happy I found this little tool under the filters. And that's a wrap. I hope you all enjoyed my tutorial on how I edit a backlit photo. Thank you all for joining, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for future videos. Bye everyone!